What up, everybody? It's your boy, the Kryptonian, saying here, bringing you a review for Dragon Ball Super episode number 30. And this episode right here definitely reminds me of the Naruto series, and not in a good way, man. Like, Naruto is notorious for filler and just reusing flashbacks, and that's exactly what the fuck this episode is. Basically, this episode is a recap of everything that's happened in Dragon Ball Super up until now. The only redeeming qualities that this episode had was we got told that Chi-Chi thinks Goku and Vegeta had a fucking picnic with Beerus in outer space. Like, Chi-Chi, are you that dense? And then the other thing is we find out that Oob actually exists in Dragon Ball Super. Obviously, we knew that he existed because he shows up at the end of Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super takes place before the ending of Dragon Ball Z when Goku flies off with Oob. But basically, Goku tells Vegeta, like, yeah, before I killed Kid Buu, I asked King Emma to basically bring him back as a good person. And the reason why they get onto that discussion about Oob is basically they're talking about recruiting Majin Buu for the tournament, for the God tournament. And I thought that was pretty cool because they did acknowledge that Buu is very powerful. And Vegeta is the one that brings up Gohan. Like in the manga, he says, hey, Gohan does have the most potential out of all of us. We should see if Gohan wants to fight. And I thought that was pretty. I thought that said a lot because Goku wasn't the one that, talked about bringing his son in. And as they're flying off to go meet Gohan, or rather to break up Gohan and Piccolo's training, which that last episode preview was a huge tease because their training lasted maybe a minute. But here's the thing about that. As they're flying off, we find out more of the rules for the God tournament. Apparently, you can't use fusion. So any hope that Gogeta would appear in Dragon Ball Super is out the window. And the reason why we find that out is Goten and Trunks like, hey, dads, we want to fight. And individually, neither one of them can hold a flame up to somebody like Piccolo who gets invited to a tournament. So their only hope is to fuse. Well, the thing is Vegeta says, hey, fusion isn't allowed. So basically that kills the notion of Goten and Trunks being able to fight. And Goku actually agrees to let Gohan fight in the tournament. And I thought that was interesting because Gohan himself volunteered to fight. Gohan's character for the most part of Dragon Ball Super has been a huge disappointment. When you talk about the fall from grace, this guy was the strongest fighter and the strongest non-fused fighter in the Buu saga. So that says a lot on how far he has fallen. And Goku starts to let him train. Gohan has this, haircut from the Buu saga. It's really nice to see. And then he says, oh shit, Dad, I've got a conference in 4 days. I can't do this. And it's like, Gohan, I get you're on your way to being a doctor, probably getting your doctorate degree. I get all that. But dude, this is a tournament between gods. There is no way in hell you miss that. And obviously, spoiler, if you haven't read the manga, Gohan does miss the tournament. But basically, Piccolo gets pushed into it, and Piccolo's like, look, I'm nowhere near strong enough to fight in this. And Goku's like, oh, don't worry about it. Dende, he fixed the Room of Spirit and Time, aka the hyperbolic time chamber. We can use that shit for 3 days now. We got 4 days between the tournament. So basically, what that's saying to me is if Goku and Vegeta are able to train in the Room of Spirit and Time for that long, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to catch Beerus at this point. Because the thing, I'm going to make a separate video on that, but the thing about Dragon Ball is Goku's always caught his masters at some point. In 3 years after knowing how to use God Ki, 3 years is a long time for Goku and Vegeta. So that says a lot. They could get a lot of training done. But overall, like I said, this episode right here, all of those flashbacks, this episode felt like it was a fucking Naruto Shippuden episode and I was trapped inside of the infinite Tsukiyomi. This felt like one big ass genjutsu, and I don't mean that in a good way. The only good thing about this episode ending is we get to see Bulma and Jacko's interaction when Bulma was a child, so it looks like they're going to be touching on part of the Jacko Galactic Patrolman manga, which is something that, I enjoyed reading. But overall, like I said, this was a shit episode, guys. But that's it for this review. If you liked anything I had to say, as always, comment, rate, subscribe, and share. I'll greatly appreciate it. That's it. Thanks for watching Kryptonian Saiyan. Have an awesome day.